Welcome all, and thank you for joining TÜV SÜD's complimentary webinar, Propelling Industry 4.0 and Digital Transformation with Official SIRI Assessments, presented today by Craig Casilius, Industry 4.0 Program Manager and Certified SIRI Assessor at TÜV SÜD Americas. Before we begin our presentation today, we have a few housekeeping rules. If you or someone you know is having connection issues, please connect through LAN instead of Wi-Fi if available for better connectivity. Also, please view this webinar through the recommended browsers of Chrome, Edge, or Firefox if available. All participants are muted to avoid any background noise during today's webinar. There may be a time lag between slides. If you are having a problem, please mention it in the chat window, which is the fourth button over from the bottom. For the question and answers period of today's session, please submit your questions online via the Q&A tab on your screen, which is the fifth button over on the bottom that you see on the bottom of your screen. And at the end of today's session, there will be a short survey. Please stay on for a few extra minutes if you can to participate in these survey questions, short survey questions. We truly appreciate your feedback, your comments and your feedback. Craig today will be playing a video. So to unmute that video and to hear the video audio, unmute the sound bar or the microphone icon, and Craig will repeat these instructions as well. Now let me introduce our company, TÜV SÜD Americas, and we'll talk a little bit about the session today. TÜV SÜD is world-renowned for providing international testing, assessment, training, and certification services for over 150 years with offices in over 1,000 locations in 50 countries and represented by over 28,000 employees. As a global leader in management system certification, validation, and verification, TÜV SÜD's extensive industry experience and expertise elevate the management systems of our clients through our unique approach towards audits. TÜV SÜD assists companies of all sizes with a tailored audit approach specific to your company size and industry. We can support you with various ISO-based management system standards, as well as cybersecurity initiatives, customized audit solutions, and of course, assisting your company with Industry 4.0 SIRI assessments. If you are looking for a trusted, globally recognized provider that is responsive to assist with your company's transformation and certification needs, TÜV SÜD is your partner. Now a little bit about our session today. To accelerate the manufacturing sector's Industry 4.0 transformation, the Singapore Economic Development Board, EDP, partnered with TÜV SÜD, a leading testing, inspection, and certification company, and other industry leaders to develop an industry transformation framework known as Smart Industry Readiness Index, SIRI. So SIRI serves as a diagnostic tool for companies across all industries and sizes to understand Industry 4.0 concepts, evaluate the current state of their manufacturing facilities, and prioritize focus areas with the largest impact to improve quality, productivity, speed, and flexibility. Today's session will be recorded, and we will share the on-demand replay soon after the event. And now, again, I'd like to welcome Craig. Craig, thanks so much for joining, and I'll turn it over to you.
All right. Thank you, Susan. And thank you, everybody, for participating today. I am Craig Casillas, the Industry 4.0 Program Manager for TÜV SÜD, as well as a Certified SIRI Assessor. And I've been involved with Industry 4.0 and SIRI specifically since 2018. So a little bit more information about TÜV SÜD. So we have been around, as Susan mentioned, for more than 150 years, which actually makes us older than the country of Canada. But we've been at the forefront of the inception and development of the concepts that make up Industry 4.0, with core competencies developed in such areas as IoT, robotics, automation, AI, as well as big data. Our mission is protecting people and the environment from the adverse effects of technological advances and innovation, but in a sustainable and responsible way. So we build trust by boosting credibility of processes, technologies, and systems and products in both the physical and the digital worlds. We're a bit unique because we are 100% independent and impartial. We tailor the best solutions for our clients' strategic and business needs. We don't design, sell, or manufacture any technology solutions. And that is important because it ensures our impartiality and makes TÜV SÜD tech agnostic to both solutions and vendors, be it during the assessment, advisory, vendor and technology qualification activities, or even implementation support. And we partnered with industry and governments across the globe to realize the future of manufacturing with an unprecedented expertise in Industry 4.0 assessments, including advisory and implementation support that are based upon both standards as well as best practices. And we understand Industry 4.0 transformation, and it's not just about technology deployment. It goes much, much deeper and broader across the organization than that. We take pride in providing a holistic viewpoint with a systemic and integrated approach that gives clients pragmatic but practical value-driven problem resolution solutions. One that balances the early returns that build transformation momentum within the organization with ultimately achievement of longer-term returns for our clients. So a bit of a history lesson on Industry 4.0. Back in 2011, at the Hanover Messe in Germany, which is an annual digital innovation trade show, that's when the concept of Industry 4.0 was first presented. In 2012, Bitkom, which is the association representing German IT and telecom industries, the VDMA, which represents mechanical and plant engineering, and the ZVAI represents electronic and digital sectors, they started to cooperate to adopt some early available Industry 4.0 concepts. Then in 2015, that's when TÜV SÜD actively got involved. And along with Acatech, which is the German Academy of Science and Engineering, we developed and released the initial Industry 4.0 Maturity Index, or the Acatech Index. And to be honest, it was a start, not necessarily a great start, because it was a bit difficult to execute. And once it was completed, it didn't provide any information regarding what next steps the organization should take to move them in advancing digital transformation within their organizations. So as Susan mentioned, as a result, in 2017, we partnered with the Singapore Economic Development Board to develop and launch the Smart Industry Readiness Index, or SIRI. And its developed included academic institutions, technology providers, small and medium-sized enterprises, and multinationals, because those are the organizations ultimately who would be using the tool to assess their current digital state. And during that piloting phase, we assessed and trained more than 450 companies across the globe between 2018 and 2019. And then more recently, in 2021, the World Economic Forum recognized SIRI as the standard framework for Industry 4.0. And together, we're working towards designating SIRI as the international standard for assessing companies against the concepts of Industry 4.0. So today, some themes have emerged regarding the challenges organizations face in implementing Industry 4.0 concepts. 41% of organizations have difficulty trying to identify where and even how to start. 23% have difficulties in defining the roadmap and blueprint for transformations. 19% face challenges of legacy systems and the availability to work with current and advancing technologies. 17% then lack visibility within their own operations and supply chains. And so these challenges have resulted in companies engaging in these ad hoc sort of siloed digital projects that ultimately lead to a lack of focus, not looking at the entire organization as a whole, and reactive resource management. It results in actually reduced productivity, higher operating costs, missed opportunities, and a loss of market share because the organizations aren't applying these technologies how they should be and where they should be. So the lack of transparency and agility in decision making, and it makes it difficult to respond quickly and flexibly to changes. So again, the inability to define a clear roadmap and address legacy systems, these are challenges that have to be addressed and are essential to address in order to take the proper steps towards transformation. So that first step solution is the SIRI assessment. So SIRI is a suite of frameworks and tools that helps manufacturers evaluate their current state of advanced manufacturing, the readiness of it, and then to prioritize the areas on which the organization should focus. As mentioned, we developed it back in 2017 with the Singapore Economic Development Board and brought in a whole host of other organizations to help consult and validate the tool before it was launched. And SIRI covers three core elements of Industry 4.0. Process, technology, and organization. And it helps companies, irrespective of the size and the industry of the manufacturer, to start, scale, and sustain their transformation journeys. Let's have a quick look at the primary objectives of SIRI. So again, helping companies start, scale, and sustain Industry 4.0. So as part of this official SIRI assessment, you'll be introduced to the concepts and the principles of Industry 4.0 and what are the tangible benefits you would be getting out of a typical Industry 4.0 transformation. SIRI also will help understand where your organization stands in terms of a Industry 4.0 maturity level and how you compare with your peers. There's benchmarking to companies both within your industry sector as well as to all manufacturing companies who have undergone a SIRI assessment as part of the activity. Additionally, SIRI then can be used as a great internal benchmarking tool across your organization, particularly for ones that have multiple production facilities, regardless of where they may be. And ultimately, SIRI just will not leave you by telling you where you stand. It provides you with what different areas or the dimensions of Industry 4.0 that the organization should focus on to gain the most benefit. And all this is possible with the way the index was developed and the different key points that are reviewed, I should say, during the assessment itself. First, it's comprehensive and covers all the key elements of what an organization requires for a typical Industry 4.0 transformation. And it's very balanced. If a tool gets too technical, like the initial Acatech model, it loses out on the practical usability. And SIRI provides a fine balance between technical rigor and that practical usability. And most importantly, SIRI is relevant, again, to all companies of all sizes, profiles, and across all different industry sectors. Today, more than 2,000 companies have undergone a SIRI assessment. TÜV SÜD has performed approximately 700 of those 2,000. And companies undergoing an official SIRI assessment are ultimately categorized into one of 12 industry groups, which you can see here on the screen. And then from there, they are classified into one of 168 subsegments and subclassifications. So just to provide an example, if we look at the industry classification of electronics, there are then 10 industry subsegments, with one of those being general electronics. Under general electronics, then there are 16 different subclassifications, such as manufacturer of wire and wiring devices, or manufacturer of magnetic and optical media, or manufacturer of electronic components and boards. And this segmentation is used and allows for the collection and analysis of data from all companies that have and all companies who will undergo a SIRI assessment in the future. And this data is then used in an anonymized way for the benchmarking purposes on the SIRI results and the creation of other work products that are available to the public, such as the Manufacturing Transformation Insights Report that's produced every 2 years by INSIGHT, which is the International Center for Industrial Transformation. So now we'll go on to the index of the SIRI framework itself. SIRI takes that holistic view of each organization undergoing the assessment that's built upon the 3 building blocks of process, technology, and organization. Then there are the 8 underlying pillars of operations, supply chain, product lifecycle, automation, connectivity, intelligence, talent readiness, and structure and management. And finally, then down below, you have the 16 dimensions that serve as one of the key components of the official SIRI assessment that are aligned to their corresponding pillars and building blocks. And it's each of these dimensions that are assessed under the SIRI activity. Looking a bit deeper at the three building blocks, if we start with process, if you ask the question, what does a poorly developed process give you? The answer is going to be lousy results. So a poorly developed process that's digitized through technology will remain poorly designed, but only in a digital form, right? So again, it provides no tangible benefits to the organization and limits any potential results. On the other hand, integrating technology into well-established processes will increase the level of their performance and ultimately their results. So the idea of process improvements under Industry 4.0 has broadened to encompass not only the integration and connection of many processes of the organization, but also the improvement of the individual processes' efficiencies. Under technology is a fundamental component of all significant industrial revolutions to date. You had water and steam for the first industrial revolution, electricity for the second, automation through IT systems for the third, and it continues to be so for Industry 4.0, where advanced digital technologies and automation are required to propel the convergence of operational technology, say that's used on the manufacturing or the production floor, with information technology to create unified cyber-physical systems. And then under organization structures and procedures must be modified to enable the workforce to keep up with the new digital operations, with an emphasis on the people that comprise the organization. Because in the end, it's the people who will be using the new systems and technologies that will dictate how the business runs. And then we get to the dimensions under SIRI, and first the process building block. So dimension 1 is vertical integration. And that's the integration of the processes and systems across all hierarchical levels of the automation pyramid within a facility to establish a connected end-to-end thread. And for those of you not familiar with the automation pyramid, it's actually a pyramid in design, where level 0 is the field level that supports the physical production processes, such as the equipment, the machinery, and the sensors that are used to produce the goods and services. Level 1 is the control level that's capable of sensing and manipulating production processes through PLCs, or programmable logic controllers, which are basically an industrial computer that's been adapted for the control of manufacturing processes. Level 2 is the supervisory level that monitors and supervises the lower levels, level 1 and level 0, via SCADA, or supervisory control and data acquisition systems, which are control systems that use computers and network data communications and graphical human-machine interfaces to manage and control the manufacturing processes. Level 3 then is manufacturing and operation and planning that's enabled through technologies such as manufacturing execution systems, or MESs. And then lastly, level 4 are the enterprise processes of the organization that support the business and logistics that are provided through ERP, or enterprise resource planning systems. Dimension 2, supply chain, is the integration of enterprise processes across the organization and with other stakeholders along the value chain. Then looking at dimension 3, the integrated product lifecycle, is the integration of the people, processes, and systems along the entire product lifecycle. So this is not limited to design and development. This includes design and development, engineering, production, customer use, service, as well as disposal. So under the technology building block, we have the next 9 dimensions. Dimension 4, shop floor automation, is the application of technologies to monitor, control, and execute the production and the delivery of products and services within the location where the production and the management of goods is carried out. Dimension 5, enterprise automation, is the same, but it focuses on where the enterprise processes are conducted and includes, but not necessarily limited to, functions such as sales, marketing, demand planning, procurement, and HR. Dimension 6, facility automation, then looks at the facility and its operating systems such as HVAC systems, heating, ventilation, air conditioning, water and chiller systems, security, and lighting. Then we move into connectivity. So Dimension 7, shop floor connectivity, is the interconnection of equipment, machines, and computer-based systems to enable communication and seamless data exchange where production is carried out. Dimension 8 is enterprise connectivity, which looks at the connection and data exchange capabilities between the administrative systems of the enterprise. Dimension 9 is facility connectivity, which does the exact same thing as for enterprise and shop floor, but it focuses on the physical building and the premises where the production is carried out. And then dimensions 10 through 12 is focusing on intelligence of processes and the analysis of data in order to optimize those processes across all three locations, the shop floor, the enterprise, and the facility itself. And then we move on to the organization building block. So dimension 13, workforce learning and development. If you don't have an upskilled workforce, you're going to be dead in the water. So organizations must be capable of enhancing those competencies, the abilities, and the skills of the workforce to understand and use the digital technologies in order to attain organizational excellence. And then along with the digitally skilled workforce, Dimension 14 looks at management's readiness to understand innovative ideas and technologies that are required to maintain the company's relevance and its competitiveness for organization success. Dimension 15, inter and intra-company collaboration, focuses on the processes of cooperating with both internal and external partners to accomplish a common goal and a vision. So these partners can include supply chain partners. It could potentially be a corporate entity who is responsible for product development within the organization, but it happens to be manufactured at the plant that's under the SIRI assessment. So similar type internal and external organizations make up inter and intercompany collaboration. And then finally, Dimension 16, strategy and governance, is creating and carrying out a plan of action. And this is focused on Industry 4.0, which entails setting the priorities, creating a roadmap, and creating a set of guidelines, procedures, and practices to fulfill a number of long-term objectives. So we're going to go into the short video presentation here. So again, please unmute the sound bar at the lower left of your screen after I start the video.
Over the last few years, everyone's been talking about Industry 4.0 and digitalization. We all know it's the way forward, but the pace of adoption and manufacturing transformation has been slow. The reason for that is simple. We can't improve what we can't measure. Today, many companies still don't know where they stand in the Industry 4.0 landscape and how they compare against their peers. To bridge this gap, we came to the global manufacturing community in 2017 with the Smart Industry Readiness Index, or as the industry calls it, SIRI. SIRI is a suite of frameworks and tools that helps manufacturers, both big and small, to start, scale, and sustain their manufacturing transformation. Since 2017, SIRI has empowered over 1,000 manufacturers worldwide. It's helped companies to learn new concepts, evaluate their facilities, architect transformation roadmaps, and deliver results that bring value to their businesses. Fast forward to today, and what started as a self-help program is stepping up to a new level. Today, we come to you with the official SIRI assessment, or OSA. We designed the OSA to balance technical rigor with practical applicability. It provides an independent review of your manufacturing operations by qualified individuals known as certified SIRI assessors. These assessors are industry practitioners who've been trained to conduct such reviews accurately and objectively. We know you're busy, so we've made sure you can finish an OSA in a short time. In fact, all we need is just 2 days. Here's how it works. The OSA starts with a 1-hour call. This allows the assessor to understand your company and establish the assessment scope. Next is the evaluation itself. The assessor will visit your company to conduct a workshop with the relevant senior executives and survey your facility. Depending on your facility's size and scope, this should take between 1 to 1.5 days. Finally, the OSA ends with a half-day debrief to review the findings and explore next steps. At the conclusion of this exercise, you'll receive the assessment results in an official report. It covers the current state of your facility, key priorities for improvement, and your benchmarks against industry peers.
The OSA is simple and non-disruptive. This means that our production can continue even as the assessment takes place. At the end of these 2 days, we know where we stand and how we compare against the others, not just locally, but also globally. This assessment is indeed an important exercise for any manufacturer who is serious about digital transformation.
A big challenge that manufacturers globally face is that there are so many new developments happening around them faster than their ability to make sense of it. Besides, not everything new is necessarily relevant. The official SIRI assessment is a powerful resource to help companies separate the substance from the noise and synthesize the essence of Industry 4.0 into an easy-to-understand, universal framework to start things off on the right foot.
After the official SIRI assessment, your company is all set to take the next step in manufacturing transformation. You could share the findings with internal stakeholders, form in-house teams to start new projects, or even collaborate with technology partners to develop new solutions together. But if you're not ready for all that, it's okay too. The OSA is there as a guide, and you can decide when's the best time to return to the topic.
At Frax, we pride ourselves as a leader in pushing the boundaries of manufacturing innovation. And we are already seeing results of our digitalization effort. But Industrial 4.0 goes beyond technology adoption. It also explores the way we run processes and how we engage our people. The OSA complements our I 4.0 framework, helping us to go one step further to effect change not just within the production area, but throughout our entire organization. This has given us the ability to deliver greater value to our customers worldwide.
The future is now. Today, more than 350 companies around the world have taken the official SIRI assessment. Our goal is to help catalyze your company's transformation and ride the Industry 4.0 wave. Join us and take the official SIRI assessment today.
Okay, so we've seen organizations decide to undergo SIRI assessments for a number of different reasons. Some have an understanding or a vision of what they would like to do, but there are questions regarding whether their plans are really right for the organization, where they should be looking at. So by going under a SIRI assessment, they get an objective, independent perspective of how to use the results as a compass, if you will. Many companies have multiple locations, but they produce a variety of products, have very different processes, different enterprise systems, production equipment, and technologies that are in place. So what sites are further along in terms of Industry 4.0 maturity, and which sites need more attention? All right. Then there's the old story about some guys are being chased, by a bear, if you will, in the mountains. And you don't have to be faster than the bear. You only have to be faster than the guy running next to you, right? That's obviously an analogy about competition. So companies know their competitors are looking at digital transformation as a means for gaining competitive advantages. But where are they on that journey? Are they in a better position than my company, or are we keeping pace? Or might we even be ahead of our competition? The SIRI benchmarking will give you those insights as well. And as we saw earlier, many companies just don't know where to start. It's easy to say we need to start somewhere on the production floor, but where exactly and with what types of technologies? Or what if the production floor is not the area that would bring your company the most value and benefit? It could be your enterprise processes or systems or your supply chain. So undergoing the official SIRI assessment will answer these questions, provision the different focus dimensions that you guys should be taking a look at. So now we'll take a look at the outcomes of an official SIRI assessment. Each company who participates in an OSA will receive that official SIRI assessment report, and it's primarily made up of three different areas. The assessment matrix has the results which detail the present condition of the company's manufacturing activities. The prioritization matrix will identify the planning horizon for their transformation projects, the different focus dimensions that represent the areas the organization should concentrate its projects on to achieve the best value and improvement, and then KPIs that are selected by the organization to provide necessary data and information. And these KPIs are aligned with the concepts of Industry 4.0. So a few examples would be productivity KPIs, such as asset and equipment efficiency, inventory efficiencies, workforce efficiencies, and utilities efficiencies. There are flexibility KPIs such as planning and scheduling effectiveness, or production flexibility or workforce flexibility. And then there's speed-related KPIs such as time to market and time to delivery. So along with those KPIs then come the two benchmarking analysis. The first, again, compares the organization's results, the organization that's undergone the SIRI assessment, with all the companies from all industry sectors who have undergone a SIRI assessment. The second benchmarking then compares the organization's results with all companies within their specific industry sector. That gives you that peer-to-peer insight. So both of the benchmarks provide insights for each of the 16 SIRI focus dimensions that are part of the assessment itself. Now, again, with TÜV SÜD, there's a debrief that we hold with our clients prior to the receipt of the official report. And that debrief summarizes the results of the assessment, but also provides best practices and actual use cases that help facilitate an understanding of how specific digital solutions can address the client's pain points and support the focus dimensions that were identified as a result of their SIRI assessment. And SIRI for benchmarking is a powerful tool that organizations can use as well. Key topics could include such things as which facilities had the highest maturity level versus those facing the greatest challenges, or what KPIs mattered most for each location and would bring greater insight through performance data, or what key focus areas would bring the greatest benefit and value for the organization across multiple production locations. Additional benefits include providing the C-level execs with increased visibility on the current digital state across multiple operating locations, the identification of common pain points and challenges, and also better alignment on the requirements for achieving that company's target North Star, or where they ultimately want to go in terms of digital transformation goals. And finally, it can establish a baseline for the entire company to allow for the expansion of ongoing digital projects. So what's next after SIRI, and how can organizations take the results to support their transformation initiatives? So I can't speak to how other organizations approach planning and execution of digital transformation projects, but I can speak to how TÜV SÜD does. And these are the types of activities that your organization will need to ensure are taken to achieve project success. So again, that little aspect about TÜV SÜD, we are 100% independent and objective. Tech and solution agnostic. We don't design, manufacture, or sell. So the benefits and needs of our customers really are our mission. And our approach is to take a linear 4 milestone step approach, which you can see at the top of the screen here, where we can be engaged with our clients for all 4 steps, or stop at any milestone along the path where they themselves can then take over the project. And the first is what we call the deep dive analysis. And this is where we focus on understanding all of the processes of the organization and the company's way of working. It consists of detailed process mapping that includes IT and OT information flows, process steps, reporting, data collection, and identifying any equipment and analog or digital tools that may be in use, and then understanding the pain points and wish lists of those persons responsible for executing those processes. And then this serves ultimately as the basis for the next steps. Step 2 is strategic visioning, where we collaborate with clients to form their transformation vision and identify the future state of how the organization will operate. This takes the key focus areas that have been identified from the SIRI assessments and then working with the clients to develop what are the company's operational digital goals. The third milestone then is the collection of insights and recommendations that will identify all the potential solutions and the change management recommendations. This includes solution identification, vendor sourcing, and vendor qualification. That's all focused on achieving that client's transformation vision. Then lastly, and one of the most important steps, is the business case and roadmap development. So road mapping the organization's future state with solution mapping, cost benefit and ROI calculations, identifying recommended solution vendors, and finally, prioritizing the selected solutions for implementation. The road mapping will typically align with the planning horizon that was identified in the SIRI assessment, which results in one of 3 planning horizons: a 6 to 1 year roadmap, a 1 to 2 year roadmap, or a 3 to 5 year roadmap. So what benefits are available to companies undergoing a SIRI assessment? I've got a few use cases. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say use cases. They're actually case studies that we'll go over that are related to a few of our clients to demonstrate what is possible for any company who wants to use an official SIRI assessment as the starting point to achieve their operational transformation vision. So case study number one, this client is the second largest B2B cheese manufacturer by volume in the US. Their facilities produce over 1 million pounds of cheese daily. Their operations consist of 2 brownfield sites with a greenfield site that was under construction. And what they wanted to do was create a common transformation roadmap for the 2 brownfield sites that then could be leveraged directly into the new greenfield site. Their challenges were that the brownfield sites had different KPIs, different strategic visions, and they weren't aligned in any shape or form. There was also varying levels of understanding Industry 4.0, particularly for their operations. They had a lack of real-time visibility between departments that were supporting all the production processes, and they were significantly reliant upon the use of paper and other analog systems throughout their production and the quality processes. So our approach was to conduct the SIRI assessments at both of the brownfield sites to identify the current state of each business, identify the key focus dimensions for each, and then align the results to be applied to both operations and the new greenfield location. We then conducted more than 60 workshops with senior leaders and employees to evaluate the potential digital solutions to address the needs and challenges of the organizations, and then align the synergies between the sites. From there, we developed the transformation roadmap covering a 4-year period that consisted of 12 different digital solutions that ultimately were selected by the client, and some of them including technologies such as integrated MES or manufacturing execution system, digital twin for process simulation, real-time quality prediction, and AGVs or automatic guided vehicles for material handling. And of course, upskilling of the workforce was part of that roadmap. So the project is still in process, but the cost-benefit analysis showed a positive return would be achieved in year 4, and that each of the brownfield sites would save between $6.8 million and $6.0 million, respectively, for the 10-year forecast period. Our second case study is a global synthetic rubber manufacturer with more than 10 plants across the globe. Their challenges really came to a head during COVID, when the ability to support equipment needs and fix breakdowns, as well as monitor critical parameters of production, was very difficult to be performed remotely. There was also a significant amount of paperwork which required on-site presence as well as their approvals. So the client understood that increasing the amount of automation and the establishment of digital solutions was key, not only to addressing the challenges they were experiencing, but to improving their operations by enabling employees to be more connected and digitize the plant operational data to increase productivity. So again, we started with the SIRI assessment to understand the level of digital maturity and identify the focus dimensions for the site. We then conducted workshops to define the future state and identify gaps and opportunities that would need to be addressed in order to achieve that vision. From there, we developed a priority list of solutions and a business case and technology roadmap that covered a 3-year period. Ultimately, the client selected to implement 3 of the 9 recommended solutions. These included a unified operations dashboard, predictive maintenance for rotating equipment that's supported by a SEEK, which is an industrial analytics platform, and equipment enterprise asset management system. So this next slide, you can actually see the impact of the selected solutions on the focus dimensions from the initial assessment. We went back and did the assessment of these areas. So the vertical integration dimension moved from one that is defined, meaning the vertical processes are managed and executed in silos, to one that's integrated, meaning the IT and OT systems are integrated across the levels of the automation pyramid. However, production data is exchanged between departments with the assistance of human intervention. The integrated product lifecycle dimension moved from a state of defined to one of digital, meaning digital tools such as CAD systems and CAM systems, they're now used to manage and execute the processes along the product lifecycle, not just design engineering, but R&D, design, manufacture, customer service, disposal, the entire life cycle. And then, of course, all the information for this process is along the product life cycle is now stored and maintained in its digital form. Shop floor intelligence went from a level of visibility where IT and OT systems can identify deviations from specified predefined parameters to one that's predictive, where now IT and OT systems can predict the deviations and notify operators of the potential causes of those same deviations. Enterprise intelligence moved from a computerized state where enterprise applications are performing tasks based upon pre-programmed logic to a visible state, meaning the computer-based systems can generate alerts automatically in the event of a deviation from a defined parameter, such as a delay of shipment or missing financial targets, and that digital dashboards are now available for KPI visualization and to notify relevant personnel of potential deviations, meaning target versus actual. And then lastly, and very importantly, strategy and governance moved from a state of development to one of implementation, meaning a strategy and governance model to establish the factory plan of the future has been put into action. The company had started to roll out pilot initiatives in specified functional areas, and the company has dedicated a team to identify and review milestone completion and target achievements against their defined timelines. So here you can see in the chart that the solutions that they implemented impacted the focus dimensions that directly resulted from the completion of the SIRI assessment. And in the end, the cost-benefit analysis showed a combined potential savings of $3.2 million over a 10-year forecast period, along with the increased productivity to be realized through the use of these systems. The third case study is for a multinational metal foundry company who wanted to define a vision for a highly automated and digitally connected operation. Our engagement with them consisted of conducting SIRI assessments at 5 plants with the goal of understanding the current level of digital maturity, then benchmarking the 5 plants, and then creating roadmaps for 2 of the plants that were chosen to be done by the client. So the activities, and there's a theme here, that you'll undoubtedly realize. It included identifying the common pain points and the challenges across the various functions within the ops, solution identification to address those challenges, and the creation of a prioritized list of solutions along with business case development and ROI. And in the end, the cost-benefit analysis indicated the potential savings of $3.9 million for Plant 1, which was based in North America, and another savings of $1.6 million for Plant 2, which is based in ASEAN over the 10-year forecast period. And the last case study is an example of an organization, and this one they are fine with us naming it. It's the Saudi Arabian state-owned petroleum and natural gas operations. And so we used SIRI assessments for benchmarking digital maturity across 4 of their plants in order to optimize their strategic roadmap and their investments. In this instance, the company will use an internal team to plan and implement the digital technologies, but wanted TÜV SÜD expertise in conducting these SIRI assessments and then benchmarking the outputs. And using the assessment data from the 4 plants, the benchmarking report was produced that highlighted the common issues, the pain points, and challenges that were particularly associated with the lower performing plants, along with the identification of enterprise and operational opportunities for improvement. And the report is now in the hands of the client for them to take action. So whatever your approach to addressing digital transformation projects within your organization, training is a must-have, right? Upskilling of that workforce. So we do offer several Industry 4.0 related training to support your company's transformation journeys, ranging from individual training on Industry 4.0 concepts and fundamentals to certified SIRI assessor training, the same training that I took, to help upskill your organization to be able to achieve these results. All the courses are available to help you out, and we can provide whatever information you may be looking for. So we've come to the end of today's webinar, and I want to thank you all for your time and your participation. And so with that, I will turn it back over to Susan for the next steps.
All right, thank you, Craig. Awesome job. That was a great presentation. Learned a lot about SIRI assessments and digitally transforming to Industry 4.0. So we've had a few questions come in so far. And also as a reminder for those on the webcast, there is a Q&A tab on the bottom of your screen. If you have questions, please type in those questions and we'll address them. Okay, Craig, we've had some questions come in. So let's take this first one. Are manufacturing facilities in certain industries more suitable to digitally transform to Industry 4.0, or does Industry 4.0 potentially apply across all industries? I know you addressed this and talked about it during your presentation.
Yeah, it definitely applies to all industries because automation exists that can support all the core functions of a business. So regardless of whether it's management or administrative in nature, like HR, sales, procurement, and of course, companies with manufacturing and production, logistics and service support, and design and development functions. Personally, I've done SIRI assessments for large multinationals in medical technology and pharmaceutical, semiconductor, automotive, and food and beverage, including the smallest one being a privately owned, family owned, I should say, pork processing company with less than 30 employees. So it absolutely applies across the board.
Okay, excellent. Thank you, Craig. All right, here's a question. What are some examples of the quantifiable benefits? And I know you also addressed this, talked about this during your presentation. So what are the quantifiable benefits of conducting SIRI assessments and implementing Industry 4.0?
Yeah, okay, absolutely. I mean, I had the case studies and we talked about the impacts and the savings. There's another contract manufacturer that we supported not too long ago that had production lines that did over 40 different models of electronic assemblies. They had a lot of the same challenges and pain points that we discussed, so I won't get into that detail. And we took the same approach to help them identify and implement solutions that were based upon the focus dimensions that were identified as a result of the SIRI assessment. But ultimately, their non-financial impacts were very clear. They had a 50% increase in throughput. They had a 60% reduction in manual assembly-related quality issues. And they had a 10% increase in their overall production yield, right? Now, all of those then, of course, link into the financial results that can be improved upon as a result of implementing these types of technology solutions and undergoing the SIRI assessments. But it's definitely there. The benefits are there. It again aligns to those target horizons, the planning horizons that I mentioned during the presentation.
Okay, excellent. Thank you, Craig. Here's another question that's sort of similar on the quantifiable side. How quickly is the return on investment if a company invests in SIRI assessments and Industry 4.0?
Okay. That's a tough one because it's dependent upon a lot of factors, right? The cost of the technology, its implementation, how long it's going to take to bring that technology to a break-even point, which itself is dependent upon how much is saved each time that new technology is used. But going back to planning horizons, one of the areas that if you do undergo a SIRI assessment that gets discussed and reviewed is the planning horizon for each company. So that basically means the time frame that the organization wants to implement their digital transformation projects. And there are three different planning horizons. The first is operational, and that's a 6-month to a 1-year implementation timeline. And this horizon typically applies to companies that really are under pressure to deliver quick short-term financial gains, right? They're smaller projects, obviously. They're focused on cost reductions and cost impacts. And part of the analysis that's done in the SIRI assessment is there are cost factors that are applied that ultimately identify the focus dimensions, right? That's part of the reporting that we do as certified SIRI assessors. So those who need a quick financial impact would be taking an operational planning horizon and would see those returns quicker. A tactical planning horizon is a 1 to 2 year timeline, and it's used a lot by small to medium-sized enterprises. And it's also kind of, if you don't have that risk appetite to commit to a long-term timeline for project implementation, things beyond 2 years, or you don't have the need to transform into like a global best-in-class, then that tactical planning horizon works very well for those types of organizations. But companies that choose strategic, when that's the 3 to 5 year implementation timeline, they're often larger multinationals that want to continue to push the boundaries to maintain their lead over their peers, or they want to take a deliberate push to overtake their close competition. So it's recommended for companies that are not under near-term pressures to improve financial or market positions, because the time it's going to take to get that ROI obviously is going to be more extended.
Okay, excellent. Thank you, Craig. Let's see, we have a question that just came in from an audience member. Are we seeing any hard requirements for SIRI assessments by customers to their suppliers?
Not yet. Not yet. Certainly nothing like you will have with an international standard, such as AS 9100 for the aerospace industry, where the tier 1 and tier 2 suppliers would be required by the OEMs to have that certification in place, because SIRI is not a certification. It's not an audit, right? It's the assessment of that organization to define their current maturation state against Industry 4.0, as well as their areas to focus on. We have had some conversations within the telecom sector with a few organizations about performing SIRI assessments within their supply chain to help that supply chain align itself more digitally and through a more connected fashion with that OEM, right? But that would be completely voluntary, because that would focus then on dimension 15, which is the inter and intra-company collaboration, right? This telecom is asking us, hey, help us with this dimension by going into these suppliers, conducting the SIRI assessments so we can align our organization and be able to create a better digital connected thread and increase visibility within what's going on within that supply chain between the two organizations.
Okay, excellent. Thank you, Craig. So let's see, we have a few more minutes left, and we do have a few additional questions that have come in. Since SIRI is based on the assessment of those 16 dimensions that you mentioned, is it possible that some dimensions may not apply to an organization? And if so, can SIRI assessments still be performed on that company?
Yeah, SIRI assessments are performed all the time on businesses that have dimensions that are not applicable to their operations. Typically, the most common one we see is integrated product lifecycle. So that often pops up where, say, it's a contract manufacturer who is using the designs of their customer and doesn't apply directly product or integrated product lifecycle into their organization and into their processes. And so if a dimension, the other one would be where design is done by, say, a corporate entity or another ODC activity. But bottom line is, if a dimension is not applicable, then it's not going to show up as a focus dimension for the organization due to how the reporting tool has been developed and analyzes the results. So it does happen fairly frequently, and if it doesn't apply, it doesn't apply.
Okay, makes sense. Thanks, Craig. Okay, so here's a question about, can TÜV SÜD also help us implement the recommended focus dimensions to enable Industry 4.0 for our manufacturing facility, for example?
Yeah, and we covered a little bit in that road mapping, timeline presentation. We can and we do for a lot of our clients. They're typically anywhere from 6 to 12-week engagements. They can go longer, of course. The more complex and the more sites that are involved in a project such as that. And we would do the same things that I talked about on the TÜV SÜD process, right? Conduct the current state deep dive analysis, do all the process mapping, do the strategic visioning, identifying the potential solutions and the vendors, qualifying those vendors, and then doing the business case and technology roadmaps along with the ROIs. But going beyond that, we also do solution implementation support, which would focus on things like making sure that those solutions are smoothly integrated into their current operations to make sure that they're safe and secure and reliable. That brings functional safety into the discussion. When you're talking about creating connected systems, right? Cybersecurity becomes even more important now because there's more potential areas for bad actors to access those connected systems. And also we then focus on meeting the quality and performance targets of those machines that are baked into the calculation of the ROIs, right? If they're not able to meet the quality outputs and the performance target expectations, then that ROI is not going to be achieved and or as a minimum extended.
Okay, excellent. Thank you, Craig. So it looks like we have one more question, and then we can wrap up today's session. So Craig, what is considered the largest or most impactful benefit of implementing SIRI assessments and Industry 4.0?
Again, it's going to be an answer without a real answer. It's going to depend, right? But in general, companies that implement Industry 4.0 concepts and technologies can expect to see benefits in one or more of these areas. You'll get increased productivity and process quality, increased efficiencies of your assets, the equipment, your workforce, the utilities, inventory management, that sort of thing. Greater production flexibility in workforce. If you have product lines that have to turn over and make multiple products, well, that time that it takes to turn over that production line and reconfigure it to produce the next product that's coming up, that's planned, takes time, and that costs money, right? So modularity, or the ability to make multiple products on the same production line, is production flexibility. They can gain benefit from that, and ultimately decrease costs through efficiencies and improvements that are achieved through the use of these solutions. So everything is open and available, and when done right, we absolutely do see benefits to all customers who have completed the SIRI assessments and then gone through a rigorous planning and implementation cycle for those technologies.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Craig. This was so informative. Thank you for your time, and thank you to everyone who joined today's session. We appreciate you joining. As a reminder, today's session was recorded, and the recording will be available soon after this event for you or anyone that you know that missed any portion of today's session. Also, don't forget to stay on for the short survey, very short survey questions at the end of today's session. We really appreciate your feedback. And please visit our website, www.tuvsud.com, to learn more about propelling Industry 4.0 and digital transformation with SIRI assessments. And thanks again, everyone, for joining. And now we'll go to the polling before you drop off. Please stay on. The first question: what's today's webinar content on propelling Industry 4.0 and digital transformation with official SIRI assessments relevant and helpful to your job? And just take a couple minutes to complete that. Okay. Overall, on a scale of 1 to 5, how would you rate today's webinar? From very satisfied to very satisfied. So you can see the scale there. If you could take a couple seconds to complete that, that would be great. And overall, on a scale of 1 to 5, how would you rate today's webinar? I think we messed up the answers there. Okay. Are you interested in receiving a quote for Industry 4.0 SIRI assessments? Yes or no? Let us know. And are you interested in attending Industry 4.0 TÜV SÜD Academy training? Yes or no? And that should be it for our polling questions. And thanks again for joining. Thanks so much, Craig. Great job today.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.